think I'm looking at a room full of passionate conservatives. What do you think? Well, remember what Governor Romney said, you are the answer. Tonight, we're going to have a chance for you to spend some time with some of your heroes. But I want to make it clear to you that you are their heroes, because you are the ones who will take the ideas that they can polish and present to you like few others and take them out to your neighbors, to the store, to the club, to the neighborhood, and bring home new converts. This is one of the most important elections in our lifetime, and you here in Ohio are absolutely at ground zero. It's not an exaggeration to say that the future course of America lies in your hands. That's why we're here tonight. That's why we're going to be hearing from some of your heroes, some of my heroes, and we are going to have a treat tonight. Now let me say that in a different way. A treat's like a snack, isn't it? You are going to have a feast tonight. I'm going to introduce each of our four panelists tonight. I'm going to begin with Dennis Prager. Dennis marks his 30th year in broadcasting, and he's been in national syndication since 1999. His resume is filled with impressive achievements in education and politics, including an appointment by President Reagan to the U.S. delegation to the Vienna Review Conference on the Helsinki Accords. One of the projects of which he is proudest is Prager University. How many of you know of Prager University? The motto of Prager University is, give us 5 minutes, we'll give you a semester. Dennis's latest book is entitled, Still the Best Hope, Why the World Needs American Values to Triumph. Dennis Prager. And our next panelist is Michael Medved. Michael says that he went from being a Bobby Kennedy liberal, educated at Yale and Yale Law School, to campaigning for Ronald Reagan in 1980. Like Ronald Reagan, he distinguished himself in both the fields of film and politics. He is one of America's most perceptive commentators on policy and culture. His radio show reaches nearly 5 million listeners every week. His most recent book is an e-book entitled The Odds Against Obama, Why History and Logic Make the President a Likely Loser. And one more book, isn't that a great thing? One more book is The 5 Big Lies About American Business. It's available for sale in the back of the room after our presentation is over tonight. Michael Medved. Next, please welcome Hugh Hewitt. Now, while some talk about the Reagan Revolution, Hugh Hewitt was involved in it. He was inside the administration for nearly 6 years, including a stint as assistant counsel in the White House. He's a law professor at Chapman University's School of Law. He's an Emmy Award-winning television producer and the author of The Most Perceptive Portrait of Mitt Romney 4 years ago, as well as his latest e-book, The Brief Against Obama, The Rise, Fall, and Epic Fail of the Hope and Change Presidency, available for sale in the back of the room. Hugh Hewitt. And finally, please welcome John Boyd. John was an Academy Award winner for the film Coming Home. He was also nominated for 3 other Academy Awards. He has played an extraordinary range of roles. And listen to this range, from Pope John Paul to Howard Cosell. He has also become an outspoken advocate for conservative causes and candidates in the last 5 years. He is one of the most courageous members of the conservative community because he lives in a hostile zone of politics. He's not merely courageous, he's thoughtful, he's insightful, and he's a lot of fun to be around. Please welcome again, John Boyd. I'm going to invite each of our panelists to begin with 5 minutes of opening statement. My clock here shows it to be 8:06. We must leave because of an engagement and a deadline in another city. We must leave here not 1 minute later than 9:15. So we'll have a little over an hour together. I'll have a couple of questions following the 4 opening statements, and then we're going to begin to take your questions. So if you haven't already filled out a card with your question, please feel free to find your way to where the cards are located in the back of the room. We'll take as many of them as we can. We could be together till midnight and love every minute of it, but we must leave at 9:15, so I'm going to ask each of our panelists to begin with an opening statement of not more than 5 minutes, beginning with Dennis Prager.
My watch in front of me, and I'll stick to 5 minutes. And first tell you what a joy it is to see all of you. Please know, and I think you know that I'm very real and tell you what I believe. Your appearance here in such numbers and enthusiasm does as much for us as we do for you. So please know that, and thank you all, and thank you to WHK, thank you to the sponsors of our trip to all these battleground states. It's been an extraordinary week. I just want you to know, and it is obviously in no way a way of telling you we're wonderful people, but it's telling you how committed we are. Not one of us, either the talk show hosts or John Boyd, get anything for this. Not that that would be bad. I must say that among conservatives, that is not a sin. But I just want you to know that despite that fact, we just left our homes and have had a fairly grueling schedule because I know I speak for all 4 of us and all of you here, or all of you but one. I saw one hand go up as a donor to the Democratic Party, and I want to say to that person, we welcome you, we love you, and we will hopefully change your mind. We're passionate because we're worried. I think that's the best word that I could use to describe most of us, certainly myself. I'm worried that the greatest experiment in human history may slip through our fingers, and entirely through our own faults. We were given something precious, and we let it escape. The default position is take care of me. The non-default position, the American position, is I will take care of me. So this is a new idea in human history. Wanting to be taken care of by others is an ancient yearning of the human psyche. Wanting to take care of oneself involves growing up. Why is Peter Pan so popular? Because people don't want to grow up. It's very hard to be an adult. The 1960s ushered in the age of permanent childhood. Dress like, talk like, be referred to as a kid. That's when Mr. and Mrs. died in the vocabulary of young children. Teachers became known by first names. Your doctor became known by a first name. Everybody was your pal. People don't like to grow up. The American idea was you do grow up. You take care of yourself first, then you take care of your family, and then you take care of your community. The socialist idea, the left-wing idea, the liberal idea, the progressive idea, whatever the current name in vogue is to be taken care of. In Europe, the state takes care of me, the state takes care of my children and my parents, and the state takes care of my community. My biggest worry is at what age will I retire, and how many days a week or how many hours a week less can I work? Those are the great European concerns. We are concerned about liberty. We die for others. As a general rule, with no disrespect intended, one doesn't generally associate the European models of the left, Sweden and Norway and France, with dying for others' liberty, right? Does anybody ever think of that? Gee, the French are coming to liberate us. Right. Thank God the Norwegians are on their way. Right? You don't hear that much, do you? But how many people in the 20th century said, thank God the Americans will help us? Leftism produces selfishness. That's the irony. Your children at college were taught the opposite, that the noble, the altruistic, the compassionate, all of the nice words belong to the left. Maybe in terms of intention and self-image they do, but in reality it has produced a grand world of narcissism. So, in conclusion, in these brief 5 minutes that we are all given for our opening statements, if you do not teach the next generation what you stand for, you will lose 250 years of greatness. And we haven't. The greatest generation failed in that way. Not all, but ironically, the greatest generation produced the most selfish generation in American history. Not because they wanted to, but because they didn't teach us what it means to be an American. That is what is at stake in this election. What does it mean to be an American? Thanks. Michael, please.
It's wonderful to be at the center of the political universe. This is incredible. I mean, you come out to Ohio and it's 80 degrees. It's because all of the politicians have been here providing hot air. It's absolutely wonderful. Joe Biden was here today. President Obama is here right now. Much better, Paul Ryan was here last night. I found so incredible. I was talking to my friends Brad and Laura who were there at the Paul Ryan event. There were a lot of black pastors there showing their support. For traditional values, because we were talking about this on the air. We are an inclusive party. We are an inclusive movement. We want every American who's willing to uphold and share the American values that Dennis Prager talked about. I mentioned Joe Biden. Joe Biden was here earlier today in Marion, and he was warming up the crowd, and he said, "You know, I've been here so many times. I feel like I'm almost a regular citizen of Iowa." I played it on the air. It's just another example. Joe Biden has no idea where he is. No idea. We know, and we appreciate it. I was struck by a very quick thought during the sort of warm-up program here, and the beautiful song by Erica. Congratulations to you. Very inspiring. And then we had the Pledge of Allegiance. And everybody said, one nation, under God. The phrase under God, of course, comes from the Gettysburg Address. It comes from Lincoln. Do you remember it was only a few years ago that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals declared saying under God in the Pledge of Allegiance unconstitutional? Do you remember this? Okay, the reason that I bring this up, it's sort of a flashback. It's a San Francisco flashback, probably fueled by acid or something like that. But it's one of those bad memories, but it's worth recalling. You know why? Because it teaches all of us, it reminds all of us, sometimes we get to win. Nobody. I mean, Van Jones, President Obama, no one. Joe Biden, no one is talking about getting rid of under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, I shouldn't say no one. I mean, Michael Newdow, who is constantly suing the people who are lawsuit happy on ridiculous separation cases, may sue. But there is a huge American consensus on that. Let me give you another example. We do get to win sometimes. Politics and activism really do result in change. Ronald Reagan, you saw in that very moving video from Let Freedom Ring. When Ronald Reagan ran for president, the top tax rate was 70%. It was 70%. There's some schmucks, you'll pardon my language, who wanted to go back to 70%, but not the American people. It's not headed even close. I mean, right now, if you look at the arguments, yes, we have to defend the ability to keep more of our own money, but we won in 1980 and it changed the world. It changed the world. This election can matter. We can win just as decisively as we did at the Pledge of Allegiance. We can win just as decisively as we did at the idea that ridiculous federal tax rates, it had been even higher than the 70%. John Kennedy lowered it from 90% to 70%, and then Reagan brought it all the way back down to 28%. We can make that kind of change this time. And let me mention a couple of things to you that are just over the horizon, and we can seize them. And 12 nights from tonight, we'll be celebrating that kind of change, which can change American politics and policy and discussions and values forever. Most Americans believe it is not only wrong, it is evil. Evil to judge people by race or by skin color rather than the content of their character, as Dr. King said. The Supreme Court this year is going to make that determination, and once and for all, we are going to get rid of that miserable liberal innovation that says that we should evaluate people and reward people according to the color of their skin. That is going to come to an end in America, and we'll look back on this. I also believe that the idea that we should have some choice in education is going to happen in the Romney administration. There is a broad support for that idea all across the country, and with political leadership that has the guts to stand up to some of the public employees unions, of course, primarily the teachers unions, we can make that difference. I mention all of this because a lot of people have the idea, number one, we can't win. Yes, we can win. We will win. We're going to carry Ohio, and then we're going to carry the country. And not only is victory possible, change is possible. And we'll think back to this night, 12 days before the election, in this year, in this election, and what a joy to be part of this together. Thank you very much.
Well, everyone, it's great to be home in northeastern Ohio. I'm glad to be here. attended every Cleveland Browns home game from 1965 to 1974, and there are a lot of seats that were like the upper deck at Muni, and so I'm going to encourage you, obstruct the view, from the 20 into the open end of the end zone. I never saw a touchdown. There weren't many anyway in those years. So in any event, if you are having an obstructed view over here, you don't want to miss all of my friends, Dennis and Michael, but when John talks, you've got one of America's greatest actors ever, and you can tell when he talks, and so stand up. Don't be ashamed to stand up, move around, come find a seat, and make sure you see John talk. I've got a lot of good friends here. My cousin, Mary Hewitt, is here. I can't find her in the crowd. I know she's around somewhere. Mary, thanks for coming out. Nick Spano is a classmate of mine. Bill Blankenshane from Cornerstone. He's not there now, but he's a great Patheos blogger. Dan and all those kids from Cornerstone were so amazing. Thank you for that pledge of allegiance. I'm just so glad to be back. Scarlet Gray, go back. Comeback against Purdue this weekend. It reminded me of Josh Mandel coming back. And the most important political fact, I just don't want to forget to say this, of this election, is that LeBron supported Obama and Obama supported LeBron. Don't forget that. Let the president take his game to South Beach. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all.